The Ben Soror More, the rebellious son, that we learn about in Parashas Ki Seitze, the Gemara says really never existed. The Torah talks about the possibility of there being such an individual, but the Gemara seems to say, even though one Mandamar doesn't agree, that there never really was an actual Ben Soror More. So the Gemara says, then why is it that the Torah talks about it? The answer is Rosh V'Kabel Schar, that we should look into it, we should understand it, and by virtue of understanding it, we can glean lessons from it. So what lesson is it that we can learn from this Ben Soror More? Probably a number of them. Rashi comments on that the Ben Soror More, this rebellious son, is Nidon al Shem Sofo, that he is judged based on what he is going to become in the end, and therefore he is killed. Now, of course, this brings up a tremendous problem on a philosophical level, because we're in the midst of Chodesh Elul now, and we speak about the concept of tshuva, and we have the very famous story of Yishmael and his starvation and his dying in the Midbar, when he was about to die from lack of water and lack of food, and the angels come before HaKadosh Baruch Hu and say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, why not let Yishmael die? And the response is that Vayishmael Elokim el kol hana'ar ba'asher hu sham. Hashem hears the cry of the child, how he is now. In other words, the angels had said, God, the children of Yishmael are going to destroy and vilify and try to murder your children in generations to come. Why not just simply let Yishmael die, and that way he won't procreate, and we won't have to worry about him? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, no, I'm not judging him based on what he might become. I'm judging Yishmael based on what he is now. Well, if that's the case, then why isn't the same apply to the Ben Soror More? Why is it when it comes to this rebellious son, we don't have as much mercy on him as we did, as HaKadosh Baruch Hu did on Yishmael? Why doesn't Hashem think about the possibility of this rebellious son doing tshuva, but instead tell us that this rebellious son needs to be killed right away? So the Kotzker Rebbe explains, because this Ben Soror More within his name is his demise. Ben Soror Umore. What does More mean? More means he teaches. He teaches other people to act like him. He teaches other people to rebel. So if the Ben Soror More was just simply an individual who went off the path, then okay, there's room for him to do tshuva, and he could survive. But because of the fact that not only did he go off, but he brought other people and he said, come, rebel like me, be rebellious. That was his mistake. Whereas Yishmael didn't, at that time, teach other people to go and be like him. Yishmael was just himself. And other people followed. There's a difference between a person who simply is themselves and other people follow them versus the individual who is out there and trying to get people to do things like them. And that's the important lesson of this Ben Soror More that I think applies to us. If we have our own shtick and our own thing that we do because it's something that we do, and we decide that, it's my own personal kind of a thing, and perhaps it's not in line with what tradition is, then okay, that's something that I do as an individual. The mistake is when we teach other people to go off the proper path along with us, and that we teach them to move off of their level and become rebellious. That's where HaKadosh Baruch Hu says he can't have that in this world. So the important lesson for us is to be very cognizant of the fact that when we do things that perhaps are not in line with our tradition, and we go a little bit off of the derech, then when we do, we take responsibility for ourselves, and we don't try to bring other people with us. A very important lesson to keep in mind during the month of Elul. And we should all be zocheh that even us as individuals who have gone off the derech, that we are allowed, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu desires for us to do tshuva and return back to him during this month of Elul. Thank you for listening, and have a good Shabbat.